Hello, everybody. My name is Clentus, and welcome to the Clentus Dumagude podcast. So, without further ado, let's get into today's video because I've got a number of stuff that I want to discuss in this podcast. So, guys, as you know, the biggest story that is happening in South Africa is Thabo Bester, the fugitive, the Hundini of South Africa. I still don't think he's Hundini because the official Hundini of South Africa is still Ananias Mate, who escaped from a CMEX prison in Pretoria in the early 2000s. So I don't think Thabo Bester is a Hundini because he was assisted to escape from prison, which is something that South Africans are waiting to hear. Who are the people, besides the G4S people? I call them G-Force, that's the security company that was safeguarding that prison in Mangaung, where Thabo Bester was arrested. So there have been arrests that have taken place, and the security that directly was working with Thabo Bester, he was arrested and he was charged with a number of charges, which among those were murder. So it's quite interesting to hear. It's going to be interesting to hear who did he murder. I'm not quite sure if this murder they're talking about the body that was found in Thabo Bester's cell that was purported to be Thabo Bester. Maybe that's the charge, but at some point I think it's going to be reduced because if that body was stolen from a state mortuary, then that means that security guard, there was no way that he would have murdered this individual. So the state has some proving to do, because that onus will lie with them, and also the onus will lie with the accused to say, hey, I did not murder anybody. This body, he basically will have to explain to the court where exactly did that body comes from. So I think the charge that he would be taking with him is that of violating a body, defeating the ends of justice, fraud, as aiding and abetting a lawful prisoner. Is it how you put it? Or a prisoner that is in lawful custody. So there's quite a lot that I want to discuss. I've got my pointers right here because there are some interesting developments that are happening, which some of them I do not want to divulge here on this podcast. I want to create a true crime video, which I'm going to post on my true crime channel, which is called The Iron Bars. Please do go subscribe there. That is where I post all of my true crime videos. So the first point here is the shock of my life that I discovered this week about Thabo Bester's estate and net worth. Let's start with his estates. Apparently, this guy, not only was he running a multi-million-dollar company behind bars, but he also had a variety of estates all over the country, ranging from most affluent suburbs of South Africa, where the rich and the famous live, in Sandton, Hyde Park, and some properties are even pointed as far as Durban and Cape Town. So how a whole prisoner who is serving a life sentence can accrue all of those properties? Okay, fine. In prison, he was also running a property development company called ARM, where he was the chairman, who apparently was living in New York and was hardly ever in South Africa. But only Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, who is now, we know, his accomplice, was the one that was meeting clients, potential clients, and basically on behalf of Thabo Bester was doing these businesses while Thabo Bester was in New York. And so it's very interesting to understand the mind of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, because this is a woman who is a full medical doctor. Not only is she a medical doctor, but a very smart woman. So I'm not quite sure at what point her smartness turned to stupidity, but I would say it turned to greed. I think the lady is just a greedy person, and she doesn't care with whom she commits these crimes with in order for her to benefit financially and live the lavish lifestyle that she was living. I mean, she was a successful businesswoman. She had her own practice. She had it going on, and what led her to Thabo Bester's to Thabo Bester's arms, no one knows. But it's going to be interesting to hear if she is ever going to consult or a psychologist, psychiatrist sit down with her and basically take us through her background, her life, everything, her hopes and dreams. How exactly did she get to where she got before meeting Thabo Bester? I understand that while she was at medical school at Wits University, she met Thabo Bester as one of the promo girls for his fake modeling agency, and probably they hit it. Probably they hit it off. Nobody knows. It's going to be interesting to hear at what point did she decide that, you know what, I'm going to rekindle a friendship or a relationship that she had with Thabo Bester by starting to visit him at the correctional facility where he was serving a life sentence, and also the same facility where he eventually escaped with the assistance of Dr. Magudumana. So going back to Thabo Bester's assets and net worth. So I discovered that Thabo Bester's net worth while he was behind bars was over 700 billion rand. What? How is that even possible? I want to know. How is it possible that even if you were a free man, okay, I know that it's possible to reach that much if you worked hard and your business is legitimate, and then you are just working and grinding and making sure that your businesses are gaining the profits that you desire, probably all the way to 700 billion rand. I'm not quite sure how much that is in dollars. So if you are an American watching this video, you just have to multiply 700 billion rand by 18. That is the American dollar that you are going to work out. So other than that, he is worth that much, and he's even worth other. I think there was a mention of him also having like another account, or I'm not quite sure what you call that account. I forgot what it's called. If I remember, I will let you know, or just write it on the screen. He had another one of over 400 million rand. Like a whole prisoner, people. This is a guy who was behind bars serving a life sentence plus 75 years. And he was accumulating all this wealth with the assistance, now that we know, with the assistance of authorities. But the question then is, who are the people that are above the correctional service facility in Bloemfontein that were assisting Thabo Bester? Because there has to be some top-notch politicians, because I think there was a point where he even mentioned in one of a voice note that he had sent to Dr. Nandipha Magudumana. I think they were having some kind of a misunderstanding, and he called her, and then he started making all sorts of threats. One of the threats that he said, in fact, two threats that I picked up there, was the first one. He said he is highly connected with, he's politically connected, that's what he said, highly so. He knows people who will do a job for him to basically delete Nandipha. And then another one where he was basically shouting at her because I think at some point she blocked him, and then he went off at her, and then he threatened her with her life, that if you ever block me again, you will pay with your life. I think that's what he said. And then he mentioned about his mansion in Hyde Park. That is it, Hyde Park? Yeah, in Hyde Park. That no, Hyde Park. That his house is mentioned in Hyde Park is his. He worked hard for this property, and he can kick her out at any given time. And I'm thinking, you worked hard. I mean, working for many of us is an innocent exercise. Not when you are behind bars and defrauding people, and then you call that hard work. And so he threatened her that he's going to kick her out with her children. So yeah, so that is his worth. And then other developments that came about this week, or it was revealed by some of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's friends. At this point, I'm not quite sure if they were trying to PR, like a public relation stunt, to kind of like clean her image and also buy people's sympathy. Because if that was the whole point, I think it is working. It came out that actually Thabo Bester was very much okay. I need to be careful with this word because YouTube is quite sensitive about it. This is where you cause another human being uncomfort. That so in front of her children, and she's got two daughters. I think one is around 7 years old, and the youngest one is around three years old or something like that. And he was basically in front of her children, and so this is telling us that Thabo Bester has a very short fuse. And not only does he have a short fuse, he's also arrogant, and not only arrogant, but also very much violent. Okay, he is very much he's not a good person at all. And these developments really, if you listen to that voice note, it will send shivers down your spine, because this individual has killed before. Let's not forget that. He has killed before, and the threats that he was making, there were no idle threats at all. Those threats are real. And to think that this woman, which now many people are starting to think that maybe the reason why she stuck with him is because she was afraid of him. I can buy that. I can even go as far as saying that maybe it got to a point where if she wanted out, he threatened her that if you ever leave, I will basically delete your children. I will delete everybody that you love. You are stuck with me, and you are stuck with me forever. And so she felt like she does not have anywhere to go, nobody to talk to, because he was politically connected. So if she had to go to a police station, which now it looks like Thabo Bester has some connections with the police, connections with correctional services, connections with politicians. So basically, anywhere that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana would have turned to, it will still would have gotten back to Thabo Bester that your girlfriend slash wife is ratting on you, and then something terrible maybe would happen to her and her children. So I think there's a chance that she got stuck in this whole thing because of the threats that I'm not saying that she was, I don't know, because I was not there, but I think that is some kind of, this is me speculating, let me just put it that way, it's just me speculating, but it's going to be interesting to hear from her, the horse's mouth herself, to basically take us in her confidence and let us know why did she stick with this guy, knowing fully well that he is a murderer and an rapist, and he's serving a life sentence plus 75 years in prison for murdering and rapisting women. So those are the things that are going to be interesting to hear from Dr. Magudumana. So the other point that I had, so last Friday, which was, what was Friday's date? Okay. So on the 14th of April 2023, Dr. Magudumana, her father Zolile Sikeleni, one of the CCTV technicians, as well as the G4 security guard that assisted Thabo Bester to escape, appeared in court for bail application. So basically they dealt with this matter individually, and there was some kind of discussions behind the scenes between the prosecutor and the defense team of these four accused. So it turns out that with Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, no, with Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's father, it was agreed between the state and the defense team that he would be let go on bail of 10,000 Rand, with condition that he is going to report to the Port Edward police station every single day between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's the condition that he was given. Should he ever break that condition, he will be sent right back in prison and his bail will be cancelled. Basically, he will lose the 10,000 rand. And if he left the municipality of Port Edward, he will also be rearrested and his bail of 10,000 rand will be cancelled. So he was then sent home. Then he came to the security guard and the CCTV technician. Their bail was basically denied. Not exactly, was it denied? No, they bail together with Dr. Nandipha Magudumana were remanded. Basically, the case, basically, the bail hearing were postponed for the 3rd and the 4th of May 2023. So they are remanded in custody until the 3rd and the 4th of May when they appear to apply for bail. Now, here's the question about the bail, because many people are interested to know if Dr. Nandipha Magudumana will get bail, considering the fact that she did escape the country. So, meaning that she does have the means and ways of escaping the country should she be granted bail on the 3rd or the 4th of May 2023. So if you ask me, I don't think she is going to be granted bail because she already proved that she is not reliable. So the best way that the state can guarantee that she's going to appear for her trial dates is that they keep her behind bars. So on that one, she can just forget it. I think she should do what Thabo Bester did, abandon his bail, but he reserved the right to apply for bail application at some point, which I will touch on that because it's quite interesting as to why he did that. And then the security guard and the CCTV technician, I also doubt that they are going to be granted bail because I don't see them coming for their trial. So I could be wrong. But the CCTV technician guy said, no, he will not run away. He will be in the country. He would attend all of his trials and things like that. And then the security guard, to me, he just looked blasé. Which another interesting thing about the CCTV technician guy, I think his name is, what's his name again? But I know his surname is Lipulu. So he got himself a state lawyer to defend him. So which we call here in South Africa a legal aid lawyer. So that means he can't afford a lawyer. So he got a free lawyer from the state to represent him, because in South Africa, everybody has a right to legal representation. So if you don't have a lawyer, the court will ask you if you can't afford one will be provided for you by the state. And indeed, he took that application. And all the other ones, they had their own lawyers, and very interesting stuff took place in court when Dr. Magudumana had appeared. So there are a few things that people are really confused about when it comes to I thought. So there are some few things that people are a little bit confused about when Dr. Nandipha Magudumana appeared in court on the 14th. So basically what she did was she entered court with her face covered with a face mask, and she had a hoodie on and made it impossible for anybody to see her face. And the state, the prosecutor, stood up and asked the court to ask Dr. Nandipha Magudumana to remove and reveal herself to the court, because they need to make sure that the person that is appearing before the court is the correct person. And so, of course, the court ordered her to remove her face mask and also her hoodie, and that's what she did. She removed her face mask and the hoodie. Basically, she just lifted the hoodie, not to remove it completely. She just lifted her hoodie, but revealing her face. And the court asked her, are you the same person that had appeared the first time to this court? She said, yes, she is indeed Dr. Nandipha Magudumana. Now, this also sparked a lot of questions because, number one, in South Africa, I think any legal or criminal system in the world, the whole point of appearing in court is so that, especially an open court, and the reason why there's a dock, The whole concept of court and having a dog is so that the public, because remember the state, the people, I think the US call it the people. In South Africa, we call it the state. That's because the accused committed a crime against the people or against the state. And therefore, the people who are aggrieved by the accused, they need to see this individual. That means you can't conceal any part of yourself, especially your face. You can conceal your body, yes, by wearing clothes and be decent, but your face, you cannot conceal it. So it was quite confusing for a lot of people, like, wait a minute, but when you appear in a criminal court, we need to see your face. You can't hide your face. Because the whole point of being on the dock is so that people in the gallery can see the person that has committed the crime against them. I don't know if I'm making sense on with this one. So it was very short-sighted of the magistrate, together with the court marshal and the prosecutor, not to press that she basically reveal her face throughout the process. But however, I think when her trial starts in the High Court, she will not be able to hide her face. The only thing that I think she can do is just keep her head bent throughout the trial. She doesn't have to show her face. She can have her head bowed throughout, or just cover herself, not cover herself, but just keep herself of the view of the cameras. But she can't cover her face because you committed a crime, or you're accused of committing a crime against the people, and the people must know who this accused is, to the point where you are either found not guilty or you are found guilty, and then you are sent to prison, and then we forget about you. And another thing that South Africans noticed when she walked into court, not only was she covered, but she was also wearing her wedding band or an engagement ring. Nobody knows, but she had a jewelry on her. Now, when you get arrested in South Africa, the first thing that the police will do is to remove anything of your personal belonging on your person. That includes ring, that includes shoes that have lace, belts, anything that you can utilize to escape or to commit or harm yourself in prison or harm other people. So it was quite surprising to see her wearing her wedding ring. Some people said, no, when you walk into the prison, they do take your belongings, but when you are going to appear in court, they will give those things back to you. Not necessarily. I don't think that is allowed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she shouldn't have appeared wearing anything that could indicate some kind of preferential treatment, because people are like, oh, she's being treated preferentially. Why is she wearing a wedding ring? What else that the police allowed her to wear, and things like that. So it kind of sparked a huge debate around the ring. Why is she wearing the ring? Why is she so privileged to be wearing a ring? Why everyone else that is brought before a court, they don't wear rings because they're taken away, and all the other belongings have been taken away, but she was wearing one. So that debate is still raging on. However, though, after everybody in the country wanted justice. Everybody still wants justice. But the moment that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana revealed her face, it was taken in such an angle that it accentuated her beauty, and some people's hearts melted. Suddenly, people were sympathizing with her. Other people, basically, she developed a fan base. Other people are like, no, this woman is innocent. Oh no, this person, no, she was forced into this. All kinds of excuses are being made as to why, she did what she did. Basically, the whole thing was around her beauty, how beautiful she is, to a point where it just did not make sense. Some people just completely forgot that she's accused of serious crimes. And some of the crimes that she's accused of is murder, violating of bodies, defeating the ends of justice, aiding and abetting a prisoner to escape prison. And all the other charges that are going to befall her, people kind of like forgot those that are fanning her right now. She was an influencer, a celebrity doctor. So I think maybe that also now is playing a role. Plus that voice note that I spoke about earlier that came out that she was actually being by Thabo Bester. So all of that played a role, and suddenly now she has a fan base, and this fan base is doing everything they can on social media to make everybody understand that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is an innocent woman, and she's a woman that is in pain, and all that excuses that people are saying about her. It's got nothing to do with whether she's innocent or not, but it's got to do with her beauty, because people keep going back to how beautiful she looks. I mean, not so long ago, we had almost a similar case where it got us all shocked in South Africa. Basically, everybody was numbed in South Africa to hear that a whole police woman was busy killing her family members for insurance, for life insurance, and collecting these life insurances, and she became a multimillionaire herself. And she did not possess the so-called beauty standards of today. That is why nobody fanned her. She was dragged to the gutters, and because she was not, I don't want to say not beautiful, but basically what I'm trying to say is she was no Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, and yet she committed heinous crimes, just like how Dr. Magudumana, who associated herself with a murderer and an rapist. So once again, we're in shock, and people now, they want to separate her from the potential crimes that she has committed because she's a beautiful woman. This also reminds me of Jeffrey Dahmer, not Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy. Remember Ted Bundy? He also developed himself a fan base because he was a handsome guy. Okay, my camera went off, but anyways, we are back. As I was saying earlier, that beauty sometimes it plays a role. It makes some people lose their minds and morals simply because a person that looks that beautiful is incapable of committing a crime, which is absurd to me. There are a lot of beautiful people that have committed crimes, and I did make a liking of Ted Bundy. He had a fan base because he was good looking. Um, Gypsy Rose Gypsy Rose Blanchard, she also gained a fan base, but it maybe not because of her looks, but more like uh, the justification of killing her mother, who did whatever it is that she did to her by using her boyfriend to kill her mother. So that also developed her a fan base. And the third person that I can think of was it. And the third person that I can think of is Cameron Harrison. He too apparently was too cute to go to jail because of the crime that he has committed. So now Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester. Thabo Bester himself has accumulated himself a fan base. There are some women who are like, no, he's too cute. He's too cute. He's too cute. All I keep hearing is how handsome he is, and all that stuff. Even his former friend came out to say Thabo Bester was a really, really good guy. Women or girls back in school used to throw themselves at him because that's how good looking he is. And so now he's developed himself a fan base, and these people are saying, no, he's innocent. Innocent. He confessed to killing another human being. He confessed to raping women. How is he innocent? How can you say that he's innocent? I don't care how handsome he looks. At the end of the day, he took a life, and he took two women's innocence. This man that you are saying he's innocent, there is something morally wrong with some people. What is going on in your heads? Because I don't get it. I'm not quite sure if the whole bad boy thing is a thing, that even a killer would be seen to be beautiful and innocent. Because he's beautiful, therefore he is innocent. No, your morals, go check them. Seriously, something is not right there. So that's the stuff that we are hearing out there. And I feel like once the trial begins, we're going to have a bunch of fans outside of the court, either with placards saying hashtag free Thabo Bester. Because I think I even saw such a hashtag free Thabo Bester. Like, he killed someone. He was serving a life sentence for that. How can you say hashtag free Thabo Bester? That does not make sense at all. So if a beautiful person commits a crime, they have committed a crime. Okay, fine, they're beautiful, but that doesn't mean they're incapable of committing a crime. And so why now are you jumping and say hashtag free this individual who has taken a life? Free this individual who raped 2 women. This individual who continued to be looking for girls. Because another person came today. Today is the 19th of April. Somebody came out to say, hey, I was working with Thabo Bester, and Thabo Bester asked me to recruit for him models. Remember, he was going after models. The girl that he killed was a model. So it doesn't make sense that now people are saying free this guy because he's handsome. It's ridiculous. But anyways, we will dive into that at some point as this case develops. So yeah, this beauty privilege is really annoying, but thankfully our judicial system, it is not influenced by the outside noise. It is very independent, and it is going to do all it can to ensure that justice is served to the people of South Africa, ensuring that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, Thabo Bester, and everybody that had aided and abetted for Thabo Bester. So I will base my faith on the judiciary, even though I feel like this case for the state is very weak for them because they got so many things that they have to prove before the courts. So the potential of these cases to fall apart are very great because, number one, let's start with Thabo Bester. Thabo Bester, when he was convicted in 2012, he was convicted as an individual without any proper documentation. He did not have an identity. He did not have an identity document. Basically, he doesn't have an ID number. This also played out during this week that Thabo Bester does not have an ID number. And secondly, when he appeared for the first time in court, he did mention something about documents, travel documents that brought him from Tanzania to South Africa. And if you are reading between the lines here, Thabo Bester is basically saying, I have learned better about the identity and incarceration of a person. And that this person is to have an identity number, and that way the state is secured that way the state had proven beyond a reasonable doubt that it is this individual who committed this crime. Here's his ID number, here's his home address, here are all his personal details and stuff like that. So I think he wants to basically punch a loophole about the fact that I'm just a ghost. The person that murdered that girl, the person that raped those women, the person that escaped from the Mangaung correctional facility was not him. It's just a ghost. And if you think about it, he's almost correct, almost, but I think he's almost as close to being real. Like, yeah, who did you exactly arrest? Who did you exactly arrest, prosecuted, and convicted to life imprisonment plus 75 years? And then when he escaped from prison, who exactly were you seeking? Because he doesn't have an ID number. And so to bring a person without an ID number and a passport from another country to another, that is a very organized system. of passports and visas and all of that stuff that he did not have. He, as a ghost, he used his own way to get himself to Tanzania. Now, to get him back to South Africa is a different story. And so he would explore that, and he will squeeze every juice or every drop of juice of this point that I'm saying in court. And this is going to pin the state against the wall, because they're going to have to explain who exactly is this individual. And if you do try to explain who this individual is, he will then say, prove it that I am this individual. Fingerprints, I don't think they are enough. When we take IDs in South Africa, identity documents, there is a picture of us that is taken. We roll our fingerprints and palm. We do all of those things before we can be given an identity document, which is called an ID. Driver's license, same story. Picture of yourself, you do all the fingerprints and palm, and then use your ID number to get a driver's license. When you open a bank account, when you buy a house, when you open an account, when you travel, when you apply for a passport, you need an identity document. When you get arrested, you need an identity number. So where are all those things with Thabo Bester? And I think he's going to milk this for all it's worth to ensure that, one, either he is acquitted. If he's not acquitted, he's going to be released on time served on all the crimes that he has committed. And he will go to the Home Affairs and then apply for an identity document, because the Minister of Home Affairs did confirm that the man that is in custody right now, Thabo Bester, is Thabo Bester, because the minister spoke to his mother, and his mother confirmed that indeed this is my son, Thabo Bester, who was born on the 13th of June 1986 in Baragwanath Hospital. And the minister went to Baragwanath Hospital, went to the archives room, which I've been there. It's in a dungeon, quite dark and scary. And found that he was born in that hospital. However, because the mother herself did not have ID herself when she was pregnant and gave birth to Thabo Bester at Baragwanath Hospital, therefore they could not issue out a birth certificate for Thabo Bester. And ever since then, Thabo Bester never had a birth certificate, including when he was enrolled at primary school. He was enrolled by a guardian, not by his mother, because his mother did not have an ID to enroll Thabo Bester in the school. So I think it was her sister or something like that that enrolled Thabo Bester at a school. And of course, Thabo Bester, he went as far as 7th grade, and then he dropped out and he never went back to school. He doesn't have any formal education, and he is said to have been a very intelligent young man back in school when he was in primary school. And it shows he's quite intelligent, very intelligent, as a matter of fact. I think, if anything, that when the court reaches a verdict, if it's a verdict to say, okay, you brought before me a ghost, we don't know who this individual is, not registered with the South African database or citizen database. So I think that the smart thing to do is for the state to take him under its wing and work with him in this whole corruption, intelligence, basically. That's what I think they should do. Just hire him, because clearly he's showing some capabilities, and of course channel his talent in the right direction, because if you're going to just release him without anything in hand, he's going to go back to conning people. He's going to go back to being short-tempered and killing more girls. So to prevent that from happening, keep him busy, give him a job that is going to use this office, because clearly he's very good with his mind. I don't know if I'm making any sense. But anyways, the case, both for Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester, has a potential of collapsing. With Dr. Magudumana, I think she's just going to plea some kind of psychological situation that she may have, either Stockholm syndrome, where she thought that the person that she reconnected with was is a person that she cared about, and this individual turned around and starting and threatening her family and children. And so she got stuck in this web where now she had to do things for Thabo Bester. And so she had no choice. She could explain that in court. She could use, she could plead not guilty on the grounds of insanity or whatever the case is. I still think that she does have a chance of either getting acquitted. If she's not acquitted, to get a very small sentence. By small sentence, I'm talking anything between 5 to 12 years rather than years and years in prison. Because at the end of the day, in as much as she's a doctor, she is still a human being. Human beings tend to come with all kinds of traumas, and we don't know what trauma that made her feel comfortable to be with Thabo Bester. It doesn't matter how educated you are. I used to know a whole high court judge who used to have a husband who her, and then she will wake up the following day and sentence people who other people and women, like either a wife or a girlfriend and things like that, and yet at home she was experiencing the same thing. So you ask yourself, a whole judge, why wouldn't she not divorce this monster and things like that? She knows psychologically, emotionally, what benefits she gets from this individual when she could actually just live and live her own life in peace. So same goes with Dr. Nandipha Magudumana. There is something psychologically an issue that needs to be dealt with, and I think maybe the court might be lenient if it is revealed and confirmed by psychologists, psychiatrists, and all those people that are going to evaluate her if she pleads that way. So my last point is on Thabo Bester's safety. So Thabo Bester in court, when he appeared, he did mention to the court on behalf of his lawyer that he does not feel safe. He had, when he was arrested and brought back to South Africa from Tanzania, he mentioned to the court that he had not eaten in the past 24 hours. He was afraid to eat the food of the facility he was brought to. Because of course, we all know why he would be afraid. He would be afraid because maybe the people that assisted him or his associate with him may want to do something to him. And so South Africans were also afraid for his life, that we must make sure that he is not harmed, because we want to hear the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and also name drop the people that assisted him. These politicians that he's speaking about, these big legal authorities that assisted him, we want to know who those people, so that we can start cleaning our systems in this country, which are being corrupted on a daily basis by people that are working in government. And so this is very important, that Thabo Bester basically spills the beans or the tea. Is it the tea? Yeah, that he spills the tea, and so that we get to know. One thing I know about that I've seen about Thabo Bester, once he is cornered, he speaks. He has a tendency of opening his mouth and he talks, because he has this tendency of not wanting to go through a lengthy trial. Like the murder, he did not go through a murder trial because he confessed. He's like, you know what, I want this over and done with. Yes, I did it. This is how it happened. And then he was taken to court, found guilty, and sentenced to life. And then when it came to the Arapists, he confessed that, yes, I did Arapist, or at least I thought I was not Arapisting them until they said they were Arapist. And there was no trial there because he confessed, and then he was found guilty and sent straight to prison, 75 years. So I think with this one as well, he will not want to go through a lengthy trial. He's just going to speak, and then he's going to mention names. And so, of course, those people are shaking in their boots. And in order for their names not to be mentioned, they're going to have to do something to him, which is something that is of very grave concern to a lot of us. So now that the correctional services all over the country, all eyes are on them right now. South Africans are looking at them, that if anything happens to Thabo Bester, all of them must answer as to how did it happen, why did it happen, who did it, why they did it. So I don't think that in the correctional service facilities he is going to experience any harm. However, because he's going to be transported between the prison he's at right now and the court, that's where things are a little bit shaky. Whether it's by air, by land, by water, we don't know. And we don't know the people that are working inside these facilities, who they're communicating with, and what message are they going to send to the outside world. I'm talking about the people that are afraid that their names are going to be named and then they'll get arrested. If he's going to be going to court, what route he's going to be taking, in which vehicle he's going to be in, if it's a chopper, what time he's going to take off from the prison he's at, and all those things. All that information needs to be kept real tight and real close to the chest of those that are going to be responsible about his movements between the correctional service, the correctional facility, and the courts. That's where my own fear lies. It's outside of the correctional facility. That's where his safety for me is a little shaky. But if he's heavily guarded as much as he was heavily guarded when he appeared in court, and a convoy, that will give me some sort of comfort. But right now I'm still a little bit afraid. I'm afraid for Dr. Nandipha as well. I'm not quite sure how open of a person she is when she's in trouble, but it sounds like she may also speak, because there's no way that you are going to jail for other people. Come on. My career is not going to be destroyed because of some people. I'm definitely going to go down with some people. If I had committed a crime with people, there's no way I'm going down alone. No way. No way. Not only I'm going to be in there while you are out there enjoying your life, and yet we committed these things together. That's just me. And I think Dr. Nandipha Magudumana is the same person. It's like me. I think she's going to talk. But if she does talk, it's also going to link up with her mental state, her emotional state, her psychological state, and all the stuff that she's going to put to the table about herself. So, well, this is a very interesting case. This is a case that is fascinating. I'm following every single bit of it. I see that the media now is also going to his backstory, like his background, where he grew up, who his friends, the school that he went to. I think they even visited his primary school where he went. Some teachers even remember him, and they all say he was very clever, and everybody loved him. Friends are also coming out to say, yo, this guy, he charmed girls. Girls were literally throwing themselves at him. And so those are the things that we are finding out. His net worth over 700 billion rand. To me, that is insane. But I'm not saying it is official that he's got 700 billion rand. I'm not quite sure, but that is still to be confirmed, I guess, or it's confirmed. I don't know. I'm just reporting to you what I heard. Like I said, on this channel, nothing is going to be like I have to go down the rabbit hole and research. This is me just speaking my mind, or what's on my mind, and this is on my mind. And many other things that I've said is not confirmed. I'm just saying, I'm just analyzing and predicting things on my own. I'm just rubbing two IQs together. It's not a fact. So nobody must come and misconstrue me and say, where do you get these facts from? No, I'm just talking what's on my mind about this case and what I'm foreseeing personally, what I'm foreseeing. And we'll be talking more on this matter as the case develops. I'm sure at some point I'm also going to lose interest in the case, depending on how it's going. But I think it's just going to keep everybody on their toes and interested. And the more interesting this case is, the more content I have for you. And let me end it right there. If you liked this podcast video, give it a like. Do leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think of this whole Thabo Bester saga. And do share this far and wide as you can so that more people can see. Guys, when you give a video a like, you are basically encouraging the algorithm to push my video to more people that may be interested in this content. And I will see you next time with a new video. Goodbye.